Well, last time, you remember, we learned the details of the fiendish plot of the mental munching mice to take over the entire USA.
It's easy. We just get rid of television. Then everybody leaves country in disgust. It's our scorched air policy.
We also learned that the big cheese, leader of all the mice, is none other than that scurvy scoundrel, Boris Badenov.
The biggest threat of all.
And what of our heroes?
Yeah, what?
Captured by the mice, they have been turned over to the tender mercies of Herman the Vermin Exterminator.
You gotta think of a way out of this mess, Rocky.
I can't, Bullwinkle. I'm too low in my mind.
Oh, say not so, Rocket. How come?
Well, just look at these pictures the big cheese gave us. His plan is working. People are leaving the country in droves.
Some of them in trains, too.
Oh, Bullwinkle, look there in the courtyard.
Why, it's that giant mousetrap we built.
Yeah, and I got a hunch it's going to be used pretty soon.
Well, you know the old saying, build a better mousetrap. And you're liable to wind up in it.
Funny thing about these pictures, Rock.
What's that, Bullwinkle?
I can't read the names on any of them.
Bullwinkle, you're right. That's not even English.
Well, that's good. I thought my eye pans were going back on me.
Those pictures weren't taken in America. People aren't leaving the country.
Nobody but us, huh?
We gotta figure a way out of this, Bullwinkle.
Like I said some time back. But how?
And indeed, it seemed difficult, for at that moment, Herman the Vermin Exterminator lumbered forward to spring the trap.
Well, goodbye, old pal. We've sure had some swell adventures together.
Yeah. I wonder how this one'll come out after we're gone.
But amazingly enough, just as Herman reached forward, he slowed and stopped.
Bullwinkle, he's run down.
In a twinkling, the boys had freed themselves from their bond.
Now, let's get out of here.
But though our boys didn't know it, they were under observation from a high window by the big cheese himself, Boris Badenov.
Quick, Natasha, they're loose.
What happened to Herman, darling?
You didn't wind him tight enough, honey bun. Quick, we must get them.
And Boris and Natasha dashed into an adjoining room full of 6-foot mice and began to wind them up. And so as the boys started out of the courtyard...
Uh-oh, Rock. We got company.
And I don't think he's gonna run down.
As the huge creature grabbed at him, Bullwinkle barely escaped, but Rocky wasn't so lucky.
Golly, he's got me cornered.
It looked bad for our hero, but Bullwinkle's flight had jogged a little more motion out of Herman the Vermin Exterminator, for he reached forward and completed springing the trap right in the mouse's tail.
Raskolnikov, squirrel has charmed life, Natasha. Why don't we have luck like that?
Maybe he has a good fairy, darling.
Good fairy, good fairy. Why is there never bad fairy?
Well, our boys made it to the back gate and were just a few steps from freedom when Rocky suddenly stopped short.
Pray tell, why are you stopping short, Rocky?
You ever try to stop long?
But we're almost there.
Bullwinkle, we're not running away.
We're not?
No.
Then how come I'm all out of breath?
Well, you go on if you want to, Bullwinkle, but I'm going back to Blakely Mansion.
Okay, Rock, anything you say.
Gee, you're brave, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, I bet I'm the bravest coward in these parts.
And peering out of his tower window, Boris could hardly believe his eyes.
Look, Natasha, the flies are coming back into the spider web, all by themselves. Oh, Natasha, maybe there is bad fairy after all.
Well, is there? We'll find out next time in Big Cheese Boris, or I'd Rather Be Rat.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! No doubt about it. I gotta get another hat.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Once upon a time, in a city far away, lived a kindly old woodcarver named Geppetto. His workshop was in the poorer section of town. It was very tiny, and his only tool was a crude jackknife.
Boy, this whittling sure gets to be a drag. Look at me talking to a pine-topper dummy. Oh, if you was only a real kid. I could get you a paper route somewhere. Take it easy for a while.
Kindly old Geppetto had no sooner shuffled off to bed than a good fairy mysteriously appeared.
Oh, kindly old Geppetto, he's so lonely. I shall grant his wish and give this puppet life.
Hey, what happened? Who are you?
I'm the good fairy, and I've just brought you to life.
You're kidding.
No!
But look at me, I'm still wood. I want to be a real boy.
You shall be, but first you must do a brave deed.
I knew there was a catch in it.
Now you must tell kindly old Geppetto the good news.
And the good fairy disappeared as mysteriously as she had come. Pinocchio hurried to Geppetto's room.
Hey, kindly old Geppetto, wake up!
Whatever you're selling the kid, I don't want.
But I'm the puppet you carved. The good fairy brought me to life.
You kidding?
No!
If you're a puppet, where's your strings? Get out of here.
But it's true, kindly old Geppetto. See for yourself. Ouch!
When kindly old Geppetto finally realized that it really was true, he was overjoyed.
Oh, boy, hot the puppies and also yippee.
You're happy because you won't be lonely anymore?
No, I'm happy because I'm not going to be poor anymore. A talking a puppet with no strings is worth a fortune. I'm going to call you Pinocchio, start my own television show.
Pinocchio? Why Pinocchio?
It's catchy.
But I don't want to be on television. I want to do a brave deed and become a real boy.
You out of your mind? Stay wood, boy, stay wood. You're going to be the biggest thing since a Hunch and Juicy.
That's Punch and Judy, and I...
You stick with me, Splinters. We gonna straight to the top.
Sure enough. First thing next morning, they were in the office of J. Quincy Flogg, president of the television network.
I'll have to admit it's something you don't see every day.
I thought we could put him on coast to coast to call it the Pinocchio Duty Show. Catchy, huh?
Kindly old Geppetto, I'll give you $1 million a week, okay?
Not so fast. I also gotta have 2 coffee breaks every day.
All right, you got a deal.
But Father!
Stay wood.
After the contract was signed, there were 1,000 things to do. Costume fitting.
You're gonna be the greatest to hit since Lunch and Yehudi.
Punch and Judy.
That's what I say.
There were countless loose ends to tie together.
But Father, can I be a real boy?
What's the matter? You got a sawdust for brains? Stay wood, boy, stay wood.
And, of course, there were rehearsals.
Okay, run it through the commercial again, Pinocchio.
But kindly old Geppetto, I've already done it 50 times.
Hey, you kid. You know what this is?
It's paper.
That's right. You know what it's made of?
Wood.
That's right again. Now, you want to wind up as a big brown roll in a butcher shop?
No, sir.
Okay, let's have the softest smile and a hard sell.
Then, at last, all was in readiness. The night of the big show had arrived.
Kindly old Geppetto, are you sure I'll be the best thing since Punch and Judy?
Who are they?
Skip it.
Stand by, 30 seconds.
Now, don't be nervous, little knothead. We got idiot cards all over the place.
Idiot card?
Sure. These are cards right here. They got everything you gotta say printed on them. Somebody's gonna hold them up behind the cameras. All you gotta do is read them.
But I know my part, kindly old Geppetto. I won't need them.
What?
Not use idiot cards?
A TV star not using idiot cards?
Why, that's the bravest thing I've ever heard.
And with just the thought of such a brave deed as that, Pinocchio instantly turned into a real boy.
I made it. I'm real. Come on with the show.
What the show?
Sure enough, because Pinocchio was no longer a living puppet, the big show was dropped rather hard, and Pinocchio and kindly old Geppetto found themselves penniless in the street.
I told you, stay wood.
Just then, the good fairy appeared again.
See, kindly old Geppetto? Pinocchio has become a real boy. Now he can be your son and live with you forever.
What for?
So you won't be lonely.
You off you chump lady? I want to be lonely. I don't like kids.
But you must. What about the happy ending?
You stick around and see how it comes out, huh? I'm a-leaving.
Father, come back.
Never mind, Pinocchio. Let him go. You see, he isn't your father at all.
He isn't?
No, there is your father.
Father.
Pinocchio was overjoyed to really find his daddy at last. And what about kindly old Geppetto? Well, he hid away where nobody would ever think of looking for him and went back to wood carving, for he figured that if he kept carving puppets, someday he might make another one that could talk.
Heads up, you guys. I give an ice cream cone to the first one that says ouch.
Well, it seems that our heroes are leaping from the frying pan into the fire, for they are actually returning to Bleakley Mansion, hideout of the dreadful 6-foot metal munching mechanical mice.
Duty's calling us, Bullwinkle.
I'm a little hard of hearing myself.
High on the roof, the big cheese, alias Boris Badenov, had already spotted them.
Let's give them old-fashioned Badenov welcome.
How's that, darling?
We throw flowers.
Throw flowers?
Still in pots, of course.
And the scurvy sneak hurled a large urn down at our friends. Fortunately, the quick-witted squirrel saw it coming.
Bullwinkle. There's a great big flower pot coming down right at your head.
You're a fast thinker, Rock, but you're kind of a slow talker.
However, since the flower pot had struck Bullwinkle squarely on the head, little damage had been done.
I don't know. That pot's never going to be the same again.
In a moment, our heroes found themselves in the kitchen of Bleakley Mansion.
Now to plan our attack, Bullwinkle.
Attack? How are we going to attack a 6-foot mouse that bites through metal?
Well, it looked as if our boys might have the chance to find out, for in the room above them, Boris and Natasha were busy winding up a whole platoon of the monsters.
Got control set, Natasha?
Yes, darling.
Okay, you little nippers, go get them.
And the mechanical mice moved toward the kitchen door. Inside, our heroes were still thinking frantically.
Bullwinkle, we gotta come up with an answer.
I got one.
What is it, Bullwinkle?
Vienna, Austria in 1758.
That's the answer?
Yes.
What's the question?
I don't know. Sure is a keen answer, though.
Not to our problem, it's not.
Oh, that.
How do you beat a metal munching mechanical mouse?
Easy. I'll just take this iron poker, and I'll walk right up to all of them, and I'll
what?
I'll pull back an iron stump.
Close the door, Bullwinkle.
And the moose slammed the kitchen door on the intruder and braced himself against it.
Those monsters will eat anything.
That's it, Bullwinkle. They'll eat anything.
You notice kind of the echo in here?
I'm gonna cook up something special.
Rocky, if you flipped your goggles, they're gonna come busting through that door any minute.
Don't worry, we'll be ready.
And Rocky set to work in the kitchen while Bullwinkle held the door against the attack of the ravenous mechanical mice.
Hurry, Rock, they're munching right through the door.
Hold on, Bullwinkle. The caramels are almost cool.
Caramels?
They're for the mice.
I always knew you were good-hearted, Rock, but this is ridiculous.
Okay, Bullwinkle, stand aside.
As Bullwinkle stepped back, the 6-foot mice poured into the room. Quickly, Rocky gathered up an armful of caramels, and as the mice crashed after him, began to toss them back at his pursuers, who snapped at them furiously.
Oh, my plan is working.
Yes, the plan had worked. After crunching down on those chewy caramels, the huge mice could no longer open their mouths to bite anything. Powerless to attack our friends, they beat a hasty retreat.
They're going, Bullwinkle. Now let's find out where they came from. What's the matter, Bullwinkle? Cat got your tongue?
Not cat, they're caramel.
Boy, this is sure gonna cut down on the dialogue.
In a room not far away, Boris and Natasha were inspecting the mice.
They're ruined, Natasha.
They can't bite anybody, Boris.
Bite? They couldn't even gum anybody.
We will have to overhaul them, darling.
Tot, honey bun. Plenty more where this came from.
You mean?
Yes, look there.
Sure enough, far above the house was a... well, good heavens, that's a spaceship.
You were expecting maybe seagulls?
But what...
It's time to go now.
But...
Anyway, be with us next time for the Space Rat.
Or of Mice and Menace.
Yes, you do that.
And now, for all you senior students who are just about to graduate, here are some words of wisdom from Mr. Know-It-All.
Buenos dias, senors. Today's lecture is entitled How to Catch a Bee and Make Your Honey Happy. Ordinarily, one can find a bee in a meadow of sweet-smelling flowers. However, if one lives in Death Valley, the task becomes a little tougher, but not surmountable. Here we have a Geiger counter which tells us two things: whether we are approaching a bee or walking over a landmine. If the bee lover can't find the bee, make the bee come to the bee lover. This can be attained by luring him with a honeycomb. We simply take a comb, gook it up with a jar of honey, and place it on the ground. You can be sure a bee will make a beeline for it. Ah, here comes one now. That was a bee, all right. A B-29. Moving from Death Valley to a meadow of sweet-smelling flowers, we finally do locate a bee, and there on that petal is one now. Utilizing the thumb and forefinger, we gently pick him up so as not to hurt his delicate little... Oh!
Catch the bee, Mr. Know-It-All?
No, I didn't, and I'm going to see that he never gets elected.
Well, why are you going into that voting booth?
I'm going to vote no on Proposition B.
Hello there, Peabody here. And that's my boy Sherman over by the Wayback Machine.
The Wayback's all warmed up, Mr. Peabody.
Excellent, Sherman. Then set the indicator for the year 1180.
1180 it is.
Our target for today will be Nottinghamshire, England, and in particular, Sherwood Forest, where we'll come face to face with that legendary rogue, Robin Hood. Before we knew it, Sherman and I were beside Robin Hood's band of outlaws. They were known as merry men, but at that moment they were anything but merry.
To think he'd do this to us, Little John.
Aye, Friar Tuck. Taking our valuables is one thing, but our clothes...
Forgive the intrusion, gentlemen, but it sounds as though you've been robbed.
We have.
That's terrible. Where's Robin Hood?
He went that-a-way.
To apprehend the culprit.
He is the culprit.
Before we could voice our astonishment, the bushes parted and out stepped Robin. I could tell something was wrong by the way he held his bow and arrow.
I am Robin Hood, and I've come to rob you.
He stretched the arrow taut and sent the bow flying into the air.
Surrender your valuables if you value your life.
But, Robin, you just finished robbing us.
I did. Are you sure it was me?
What's this all about, Mr. Peabody?
I'm afraid Robin isn't himself.
It's his head. You see that bump on it? He ran into a falling rock, changed him completely.
Well, tally-ho. I'm off to Nottingham to play chess with Prince John.
So saying, Robin dashed for his horse. However, his judgment was sadly lacking. Instead of leaping on the animal's back, he leaped into a nearby creek.
Poor Robin.
After hanging his beloved leader out to dry, Friar Tuck unfolded a tragic tale.
This is our monthly business chart. Robin had the accident on the 8th, and you can see how our robberies have fallen off since then. And the holidays are coming up, too.
The situation wasn't bad enough. Maid Marian arrived with more trouble.
Where's Robin? I must talk to him.
What's up?
The Sheriff of Nottingham's dander. Look.
According to the proclamation, the wily sheriff was challenging Robin to an archery contest.
And if Robin loses, Prince John will cut off England's supply of clippers.
Can you hear me, Prince John?
I hear you, Sheriff.
Good. Now remember, when I shoot, you pick up the target and guide it so that I score nothing but bullseyes.
A brilliant plan, Sheriff.
Yes, isn't it?
The following day, all of Nottinghamshire turned out for the tournament, including Robin and his dejected band of outlaws.
You must win, Robin, you must.
I don't want to win. I want to rob the poor and give to the rich.
Goodbye, kippers.
Most of the spectators were focusing their attention on Robin. I concentrated on the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was engaged in some pre-tournament practice.
Look at that, Mr. Peabody. A bullseye every time.
I smell foul play, Sherman. No one's that good. Except me. My suspicions were confirmed, for the sheriff's next shot was so erratic, the target had a difficult time converting it into a bullseye.
The tournament will now begin. The Sheriff of Nottingham will shoot first.
Just one moment, please. Sherman, show the folks how you can stand on your head.
If you say so, Mr. Peabody.
While Sherman diverted the crowd's attention, I made my way to a nearby tree, borrowed a beehive hanging from its branches, and casually inserted it inside the highly talented target.
That little boy stands on his head beautifully, but can't we get on with the tournament?
By all means. All right, Sherman. Up, boy. Up. Oozing confidence, the sheriff prepared to take his first shot.
Watch this. A bullseye every time.
It might have been, too, except that the target behaved in a violent fashion and began dashing all over the place. Needless to say, the tournament was called off. As for Robin Hood, he had the good fortune to walk into a ditch, resulting in the restoration of his normal senses.
And they said it couldn't be done.
Prince John, on the other hand, was having a difficult time getting free of the beehive.
It serves him right, doesn't it, Mr. Peabody?
It certainly does, Sherman. By the way, how does it feel to witness his execution?
Execution? According to history books, Prince John wasn't executed.
No. He looks beheaded to me.
Well, last time, our heroes were one up on the mysterious metal-munching mechanical mice. For Rocky fed them some chewy caramel, and they couldn't open their mouths to bite anything.
Always somebody's got to gum up the works.
But Boris Badenov, alias the Big Cheese, wasn't too worried.
There's always more where they come from.
And where did they come from? Apparently from the strange-looking craft which was slowly settling to the ground next to the mansion.
Bullwinkle, that looks like a spaceship.
Yeah, probably 'cause it is.
And as our heroes watched in amazement, the spaceship began to unload a cargo of monstrous mechanical mice.
You know what this means, Bullwinkle?
It means we're gonna run out of cheese in a hurry.
No, it means the fiendish plot against the country may succeed after all.
What plot is that?
Bullwinkle, haven't you been following the story?
Well, it's tough to follow it and be in it at the same time, Rock.
Okay, fill 'em in, will ya?
Well, the fiendish plot is this. Boris Badenov, alias the Big Cheese, is importing mechanical metal-munching mice from some mysterious place or other and sending them out at night to destroy television antennas all over the country.
Oh, boy, I could see it now. TV sets all go dark. People got nothing to do, get bored. Everybody goes to some other country to watch Late Show.
Then we take over a whole deserted US of A.
Just imagine, Natasha, being only people in town like New York City, parking backwards in middle of one-way street,
Shooting slingshot at pigeons in park.
drawing mustaches on pictures of pretty girls,
Throwing custard pies at statues in park.
betting baseballs through windows of UN building.
We could even sell Brooklyn Bridge.
Again, you mean? It will be just, you'll pardon the expression, heavenly.
Da is first-class fiendish plot, darling.
Should be. Is disapproved by Bad Housekeeping magazine.
And the two villains set to work to wind up the fearsome creatures for the terrible task ahead. Meanwhile, our heroes were watching the mechanical mice disembark from the strange craft.
If we could just find out where they come from.
From that spaceship.
Yeah, but where does it come from?
That's your question.
Well, let's sneak up on it and see.
And our friends drew nearer and nearer the spaceship. Unaware that eyes were watching them, they approached alone and unprotected.
Yeah, how come we never got a gang on our side, Rock?
Well, you can't be a hero if you got a gang with you.
It might be nice just once to be a safe coward.
Back in Bleakley Manor, Boris and Natasha had wound up their wind-up job.
Darling, spaceship is ready to go.
And Boris quickly slipped on his disguise as the Big Cheese, leader of the mechanical mice.
Do I look like rat, Natasha?
Of course, darling. To me, you always look like rat.
Flatterer.
And the disguised Boris made his way to the ship. Unfortunately for our heroes, he and they arrived at the same time.
Bullwinkle, it's the Big Cheese. Let's go.
Right.
Not that way, this way.
You mean towards him?
But he's all alone.
Couldn't we leave it like that?
But Bullwinkle conquered his urge to flee and dashed toward the Big Cheese. Of course, being a coward as well as a sneak, Boris turned tail and ran for his life.
Hey, you in the ship, save me, save me!
And as if in answer to Boris's frantic cry, a strange weapon emerged from the odd-looking craft, leveled at our friends, and fired. Don't miss our next episode, The Shot Heard Round the World, or The First National Bang.